A lot of gun owners think permitless carry means the fight is over. It is not. In 7 states, the rules around age limits, campus carry, old charges, and permit-only carve-outs are changing right now, and if you miss one detail, you could think you are legal when you are not. Pause. Quick question before we continue. Are you subscribed? Because what I'm about to break down could keep you from making a mistake that follows you for years. Hit that button now and make sure you don't miss the next update. Now let me make one thing clear right away. The title sounds like 7 states are all flipping to full permitless carry overnight. That is not exactly what is happening. What is happening is this: states are changing the exceptions. And those exceptions are the part that gets people jammed up. Age exceptions, campus exceptions, permit-only exceptions, old charge exceptions. That is where normal people get caught, because most people hear the big headline and never read the fine print. So let's go state by state, and I want you to listen like this is your own carry plan on the line. First, West Virginia. This is one of the biggest real changes on the list. Governor Patrick Morrisey signed House Bill 4106 on April 1st, and it takes effect June 12, 2026. The short version is simple. West Virginia's constitutional carry rules are expanding to include 18, 19, and 20-year-olds. That means one of the biggest age-based exceptions is ending there this year. Pause. Here's why that matters. Before a change like this, a young adult could say, I'm an adult. I can vote, I can work, I can serve. Why can't I carry under the same rules? That gap is exactly what lawmakers just changed in West Virginia. Here's a hypothetical example to explain this. Imagine you are 19, you live in West Virginia, you legally possess a handgun, and after June 12, you carry under the new rule. That may be lawful in West Virginia. But if you cross a state line thinking that same freedom follows you everywhere, that is where trouble starts. Your home state may have changed, but the next state may not care. That is the first lesson in this whole video. A rule change in your state does not erase the map. Second, Wyoming. This one is sneaky, and a lot of people will miss why it matters. Wyoming already has permitless carry, so some people hear that and say, then why should I care about a permit law? Because permits still matter. Wyoming's House Bill 96 was signed on March 7th and takes effect July 1st, 2026. It lowers the age to get a concealed carry permit from 21 to 18. Pause. Notice the difference. That is not the same thing as saying every rule disappears. What it means is a younger adult can now get the permit itself. And that matters for all the places where a permit still gives you something extra. Reciprocity is the big one. Traveling is the big one. Some states and some specific carry situations still care whether you hold a permit, even if your home state lets many adults carry without one. So if you are a young adult in Wyoming, this is not just paperwork. This could change whether you have a document that another state may recognize. Third, Utah. This one shocked a lot of people because it hits college campuses. And that is always where the law gets emotional fast. Utah's HB 84 was signed in March and takes effect May 6, 2026. One of the key changes is that the permit layer tied to higher education campuses is being removed for adults 21 and older. In simple English, one of the old college campus exceptions is being stripped out. Pause. And here is where people get confused. They hear campus carry and assume that means a free-for-all. No, it means the specific permit requirement around higher education is changing. Other restricted places still exist. Other safety rules still exist. Federal law still exists. Private property rights still exist. But if you are in Utah and you learned the old rule years ago, you need to update your mental map, because the old campus line you memorized may not be the line anymore. But here's the crazy part. 3 states already show you the pattern. This year is not only about can I carry or not, it is about which exception just moved. And that is a much more dangerous question because it tricks people who think they already know the answer. If you're finding this helpful, imagine what you'll learn in my next video about the 5 words that protect you when cops ask about your gun. Subscribe so you don't miss it. Now let's get into the states where the story is more complicated, because this is where most people get lazy. They hear one headline, they assume the law already changed, and then they repeat bad information to everybody they know. Fourth, South Carolina. This one is not a brand new rollout of permitless carry. South Carolina already went through that fight in 2024. But in 2026, the state cleaned up one of the messiest leftovers from that change. Lawmakers overrode a veto, and as of January 14, 2026, the law requires dismissal and expungement of certain pending unlawful handgun possession charges that happened before the 2024 Constitutional Carry Act. Pause. Why does that matter to you? Because it proves something important. When states change carry laws, they leave behind old cases, old arrests, and old confusion. And sometimes those leftovers sit there until lawmakers come back and fix them. So if you or someone you know had a pre-change handgun case hanging around, South Carolina is a reminder that the legal system does not always clean itself up fast. You have to watch for follow-up laws too. Fifth, Kentucky. This one is a warning sign. Kentucky lawmakers passed House Bill 312, which would create a provisional concealed carry license for people ages 18 to 20. That would have narrowed one of the biggest age exceptions in a permitless carry state. But then Governor Andy Beshear vetoed it on April 3rd. Pause. And this is exactly why I tell people not to celebrate too early. A bill can pass. News pages can say it is headed to the governor. Social media can start yelling that the law changed, then the veto drops, and suddenly everybody's spreading the good news is now wrong. If you are 19 in Kentucky and somebody at the range tells you, you're good now, that bill passed, that could be terrible advice if they stopped following the story before the veto. Here's what most people get wrong. They track the vote. They do not track the final status. Sixth, Ohio. Ohio already has permitless carry for many adults, but lawmakers are still pushing on the exceptions. House Bill 495, called the Freedom to Carry Act, is sitting in the legislature right now. It would lower the age for the license from 21 to 18, and it would also update rules around carrying or transporting other weapons, including long guns and vehicles. Pause. This matters because permitless carry laws do not freeze everything else in place. States keep changing age rules, vehicle rules, and the line between handguns and other deadly weapons. So imagine you are driving to hunt, or to a private range, or just transporting a firearm and another weapon in your truck. You may think, Ohio is permitless now, so I'm covered. But the law may still split things up in ways you did not expect. That is why I always say permitless carry is not the end of gun law. It is just the start of a new set of questions. Now, quick legal note. This is educational information, not legal advice. Always consult an attorney for your specific situation. Seventh, New Hampshire. This is one to watch closely. House Bill 1793 already passed the New Hampshire House, and now it is in the Senate. If it becomes law, public colleges and universities would be blocked from restricting the possession, carry, or storage of firearms and non-lethal weapons on campus. Pause. That is a huge deal because New Hampshire is already known for broad carry freedom. But colleges have often been their own special island with their own rules, and that is what this bill targets. It goes after the campus exception. So if you are a student, a parent, a professor, or somebody who works around higher education, this is the kind of bill you cannot afford to ignore just because it is still in committee. The hearing stage is exactly when people stop paying attention. And one day the law moves and they act shocked. Hey, 73% of people watching right now aren't subscribed. Don't be part of that group. Join the gun owners who get these updates first because laws do not wait for you to catch up. Click subscribe. Now let me break down the part nobody talks about. The legal risk is not always in carrying the gun. Sometimes it is in carrying the wrong assumption. Most people think permitless carry means no permit, no problem. The truth is closer to this. No permit in some places, under some ages, with some weapons. Under some state rules, unless another exception still applies. That is not catchy, but it is real. Think about a traffic stop. You're calm. Your handgun is where you always keep it. You honestly believe you're following the law. But what if you crossed from a state where the age exception just ended into a state where it did not? What if your home state changed the campus rule, but the campus you stepped onto is still controlled by a different law? What if you relied on a permitless carry rule but forgot that your out-of-state protection was tied to an actual permit? Pause. That is how regular people get into trouble. Not because they were trying to break the law, because they were working from an old version of the law. And there is one more thing. This year is showing us two different trends at the same time. Some states are expanding carry by cutting back exceptions. Other states are fighting over where the line should stay. So do not make the mistake of hearing one national story and assuming it fits all 50 states. It does not. Gun law is local. Carry law is local. Even in states with permitless carry, the details are painfully local. This is also why I tell people to stop arguing in absolutes. You can carry anywhere. Wrong. You never need a permit. Also wrong. If it passed one chamber, it's basically law. Definitely wrong. The safest mindset is simple. Ask 4 questions every time. What state am I in? How old am I under that state's carry law? Does this place have a special rule? And does a permit still matter for this specific situation? If you do that, you will already be ahead of most people giving advice online. And let me say one more uncomfortable truth. A lot of the loudest voices online are great at outrage and terrible at timelines. They will tell you a bill is done when it is just introduced. They will tell you a rule is gone when it only changed for one age group. They will tell you campus carry is legal now and skip the part about which campus, which age, which permit, and what date the law actually starts. Do not make that mistake. This information could literally expire after January 2026 style deadlines, court rulings, vetoes, and new sessions. Subscribe now because the next video explains exactly what you need to do before the next rule change catches people off guard. So here is the takeaway. West Virginia, Wyoming, and Utah already made major moves on age or campus exceptions. South Carolina cleaned up old handgun charges tied to its carry change. Kentucky hit a veto. Ohio and New Hampshire are still in play. Pause. The big lesson is simple. Permitless carry does not erase the exceptions. It makes knowing the exceptions even more important. If you care about protecting your rights and protecting your future, subscribe right now. I make these videos so you do not find out about a gun law change from the back seat of a patrol car. And one last reminder, this is general educational information, not legal advice. For your exact facts, your exact state, and your exact risk, talk to a qualified attorney before you carry based on anything you heard online.